The Lucia De Berk case represents a miscarriage of justice in the Netherlands, involving the wrongful conviction of a Dutch licensed pediatric nurse for murder. In 2003, Lucia De Berk received a life sentence without the possibility of parole under Dutch law. This was for 4 murders and 3 attempted murders of patients under her care. Following the appeal in 2004, her conviction was expanded to include 7 murders and 3 attempted murders. The media and scientific community found her conviction controversial. An investigative reporter, Peter R. de Vries, raised questions about it. In October 2008, the Dutch Supreme Court reopened the case due to newly discovered facts that undermined the previous verdicts. And subsequently, Lucia De Berk was released and her case was retried, leading to her exoneration in April 2010. What's up, family? Silas here, and welcome to The Legal Mind. Now, the details of this story will leave you rather astonished and amazed, especially with the ending having a really unexpected turn. But before we begin, just letting you know, I post criminal matters and strange stories that has legal elements. And if that sounds like your kind of content, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Without much further ado, buckle up and let's take an in-depth exploration of the case that we have at hand, and that is the case of Lucia De Berk. Welcome to the Netherlands, a country located in northwestern Europe, with a population of approximately 17 million people as of 2021. Netherlands is also known as Holland or Houtland. The country is indeed low-lying and notably flat. It has large areas covered with lakes, rivers, and canals. The climate of the Netherlands is pleasant, with gentle winters, cool summers, and rainfall in every season. Southerly and westerly winds mainly, and the sea moderates the climate through onshore winds and the effect of the Gulf Stream. Moreover, in regards to people and ethnic groups in the Netherlands, popular belief holds that the Dutch are a mixture of the Frisians, Saxons, and the Franks. In total, the Netherlands has 12 provinces, and The Hague is one of these provinces, which has a fair share of its unique features and controversies. The Hague is the country's administrative center and its seat of government. And while the official capital of the Netherlands is Amsterdam, The Hague has been described as the country's de facto capital. It is also the capital of the province of South Holland, and the city has both the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. Let's dive deep into the story that we have today. Colleagues began to observe a pattern of patients dying under De Berk's care, prompting suspicions. The concerns escalated when a 5-month-old infant, previously showing signs of improvement, according to doctors, suddenly turned blue and died just an hour later. This raised alarms amongst other colleagues, leading to a request for an investigation. Subsequent post-mortem examinations on the deceased child suggested foul play. Law enforcement delved into the deaths occurring between 1997 and 2001 during De Berk's tenure at 3 hospitals in The Hague: the Juliana Children's Hospital, the Red Cross Hospital, and the Leyenberg Hospital. Some cases revealed evidence of poisoning through excessive tranquilizer dosage, though in most instances, conclusive explanations for the deaths remained elusive. Lucia De Berk faced charges of murdering 13 patients and attempting to kill 5 others by administering injections of tranquilizers, painkillers, and potassium. The alleged victims encompassed 4 infants, several toddlers, and some elderly individuals. De Berk's trial commenced in September 2002, and among the evidence presented against her were diary entries that the prosecution claimed reflected an obsession with death. It was disclosed that she had attempted to burn these diaries at the beginning of the investigation in an effort to destroy them. The prosecution also called upon a toxicologist, an FBI profiler, and a statistician to support their case. Another crucial piece of evidence was the discovery of poisonous toxins in the blood of 3 children she was accused of killing, who had been exhumed as part of the investigation. Tests on the body of the 5-month-old baby, whose death had initially raised suspicions, indicated poisoning. Additionally, police found crime-related books in her home, such as Bad Blood, the Thanatos Syndrome serial murderer, and Corpus Delicti, the 30 most notorious crimes of the Low Countries, which she admitted to stealing from the hospital library. De Berk also faced charges for forging a Canadian diploma to qualify for medical training, as well as for falsifying records and stealing books. She further confessed during the trial to lying about her nursing credentials and the thefts. The prosecution argued that she had killed or attempted to kill patients by improperly increasing medication dosages or administering difficult-to-detect large drug doses. A trial judge noted a perceived pattern in the cases, suggesting that De Berk would raise an alarm about a problem, leading to a crisis, and questioned if she might introduce death after alerting colleagues. However, De Berk denied the charges, attributing the deaths and near deaths to other hospital staff or the quality of medical equipment. She contended that her diary entries had been misinterpreted and taken out of context, explaining that the compulsion she mentioned was actually her practice of laying out tarot cards for ill patients. Despite her defense argument that her frequent presence at deaths was due to her concern for patients, she maintained her innocence. During the trial, proceedings were temporarily halted as De Berk underwent psychiatric tests at the Netherlands Forensic Psychiatric Assessment Center, where she was diagnosed with a personality disorder but deemed fully responsible for her actions. Despite refusals to undergo such tests, when a psychologist described her as theatrical, narcissistic, aggressive, and suffering from a personality disorder, De Berk responded, "That sounds like me." In 2003, on the 24th of March, when Lucia De Berk was given a sentence of life imprisonment by the court in The Hague, and this was because of the murder of 4 patients and the attempted murder of 3 others. This verdict relied partly on a statistical calculation, according to which an expert gave a probability which alleged a 1 in 342 million that a nurse shift would be by coincidence be the only time where many of the deaths and resuscitations purely took place. However, the only cases where De Berk was sentenced were, according to a medical expert, either other evidence was present or no natural causes could explain the incident. In her appeal, which took place on the 18th of June 2004, the court upheld De Berk's conviction of 7 murders and 3 attempted murders. In 2 of the cases, there was an inference from the alleged proof that De Berk had poisoned the patients. However, in the other cases, the judges considered that they had failed to explain medically, and suspicion states that De Berk must have been the cause of the deaths due to the fact that she was present on all of those occasions. Furthermore, the idea that only weaker evidence was required for the subsequent murders, after two had been proven beyond reasonable doubt, was classified as chain link proof by the prosecution and adopted by the court. This meant that the court could not require solid evidence for the other murders, as prior murders had been proven without a doubt. With that, the inference should be that she has to be the one who also committed the other murders as well. The argument relied heavily on the exceptionally elevated digoxin levels found in the autopsy blood of a particular child. Although digoxin had been previously administered to the child, medical treatment had ceased some time before, and physicians asserted that there should have been no residual traces. A brief period of disconnection from monitors, approximately an hour before death, coincided with the window in which a lethal overdose of a drug could have been administered. The prosecution contended that this provided both the means and opportunity to commit the murder. As a result, De Berk was sentenced to life imprisonment. Her lawyer promptly announced an intention to appeal, asserting that her conviction rested solely on circumstantial evidence. The media highlighted her diary entries as the primary evidence leading to her conviction. In 2004, De Berk's initial appeal proved unsuccessful, as the Court of Appeal not only upheld her existing conviction, but also found her guilty of 3 more murders. During this trial, De Berk was not only sentenced to life imprisonment, but also received mandatory psychiatric detention, even though the state's Criminal Psychological Observation Unit found no indication of mental illness. A subsequent appeal met the same fate, with the Dutch Supreme Court reaffirming her conviction in 2006. Uncertainties arose during De Berk's original trial, with one piece of evidence being the testimony of a statistician who claimed the odds of all incidents occurring when she was on duty were 342 million to 1. Doubts were raised about her conviction when this assertion faced criticism. However, the appeals court upheld the conviction based on this and other evidence. The philosopher of science Tom Dixon, assisted by his sister, authored the Dutch book Lucia De Berk, Reconstruction of a Miscarriage of Justice. They questioned the court's reasoning and the validity of the medical and statistical evidence presented. Initially, the prosecution charged De Berk with causing 13 deaths or medical emergencies. During the trial, the defense demonstrated that De Berk could not have been involved in several cases. Administrative errors had overlooked her absence on certain days, and she had been away for extended periods. Additionally, all deaths except the last one had been recorded as natural. Even the final death, initially deemed natural by responsible doctors, was later reclassified as natural within a day after authorities associated it with De Berk and her repeated presence at recent incidents. In 2006, a statistician, Richard D. Gill, joined the case, collaborating with Piet, to demonstrate that there was a 1 in 25 chance of a nurse experiencing a similar sequence of events as De Berk. Philip David, a professor of statistics at the University of Cambridge, criticized the prosecution's statistical evidence as unprofessional, based on calculations of a very simplistic nature, founded on very simple and unrealistic assumptions. The use of probability arguments in the De Berk case was explored in a 2007 Nature article by Mark Buchanan. He argued that stating the death's unlikelihood, whether 1 in 48 or 1 in 342 million in isolation, is not meaningful, as the court should consider the relative likelihood of murder versus coincidence. Notably, the court received an estimate for only the first scenario. Apart from analytical errors, concerns arose about the data from one hospital, suggesting De Berk's presence at every significant incident requiring reanimation. Given the expected occurrence of such cases in all hospitals, doubts emerged about the accuracy of the data. Subsequent analysis after De Berk's acquittal revealed that not all incidents were reported, and some attributed to her occurred when she was absent, had already left, or was away due to illness. At Gill's initiative, a petition for reopening the De Berk's case gained momentum. On November 2, 2007, over 1,300 signatures were presented to the Minister of Justice and the State Secretary of Justice. On the 17th of June 2008, the Advocate General of the Supreme Court, G. Nijay, petitioned the Supreme Court to reopen the case. The court granted his request on October 7, 2008, recognizing that newly uncovered facts presented by Nijay significantly undermined the earlier evidence. Apart from the statistical arguments, the third appeal hearing questioned the evidence regarding high digoxin levels in a child's blood. This was a key factor in De Berk's second conviction and life sentence in 2004. The examination of digoxin levels in autopsy blood was challenged, as post-mortem levels should naturally be higher than those in living patients. Furthermore, the blood sample analyzed was not properly collected, but rather squeezed from gauze left inside the body after autopsies, leading to increased digoxin levels due to evaporation. The presence of digoxin-like immunoreactive substances, DLIS, commonly in infants, complicated the testing process, as the test used could not differentiate between digoxin and DLIS. A Strasbourg laboratory capable of distinguishing between the two found a digoxin level of 7 milligrams per liter, below the poisoning threshold. Additional medical findings, such as non-contraction of the heart, failed to indicate poisoning. It was demonstrated that the evidence of opportunity to poison the child with digoxin was flawed. The monitor had been disconnected at 1:20 for 28 minutes, but a doctor's examination was recorded at 1 o'clock. Analysis of the examination log sheet revealed that entries were consistently recorded on the hour or half hour. A reconstruction of events indicated that the disconnection coincided with the examination recorded at 1, which occurred shortly after the hour. Since digoxin's lethal effects occur within an hour, any administration would have needed to take place during that examination. In December 2009, with new statistical and medical evidence, the court acknowledged that all deaths were entirely natural. The appeal hearing concluded on March 17, 2010. Witnesses on the final day attested that deaths at the Juliana Children's Hospital were natural, sometimes caused by incorrect treatment, poor hospital management, or faulty medical diagnosis. Nurses, including De Berk, were reviewed to have responded swiftly and effectively during medical crisis, saving lives on multiple occasions. The public prosecution formally conceded, requesting the court to deliver a not guilty verdict, which was granted on 14 April 2010. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time to listen to this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you do have another story that you'd like me to touch on, just comment down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely consider doing some research on it and make a video in the near future. Peace and love.